Hello everyone, today is 4th of March, now it's 15 past 10 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. And there are quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment, and I will start with a short summary of the Ukrainian battlefield. And first of all, breaking news, I guess, for yesterday afternoon and this morning also, which is that Russian armed forces destroyed yet another Abrams tank on the battlefield, and this happened in Berdichi area, and of course many Russian media outlets reported about it. I spoke about this topic yesterday during the live stream, and I guess Western media outlets will also pay some attention to this topic because after all it was Western media outlets that were presenting this Western military equipment as some kind of wonder weapons, and therefore they corner themselves now whenever this Western military equipment is destroyed or not as effective as it was presented. Then they are forced to comment on it at least and pay some attention. So in this video, by the way, you can see engineering machine that was also destroyed in the same area where Abrams was destroyed, Abrams tank. And this engineering machine is also US made, and it's based on Abrams chassis. Visually it looks like Abrams but without a barrel. And this happened in Berdichi settlement, in Berdichi area. This is approximate location on the southern side of Berdichi, in the central part of the village, where this Abrams was destroyed, and the engineering machine was destroyed even further eastwards, which definitely indicates that Berdichi at least is disputed between the sides. In recent few days there were reports that Russian forces managed to establish full control over the Berdichi, but then Kiev regime deployed in this area strategic reserve forces from strategic reserves, one of the most capable, or maybe even last battle capable brigades, and they managed to regain control at least over the southern areas in Berdichi, and they have heavy losses, by the way, including in terms of Western military equipment. So yes, this is second Abrams tank that was destroyed on the battlefield, and second also engineering machine that is based on Abrams chassis. Not the last ones there, I guess. On my Telegram yesterday I shared video of destroyed Abrams. Let me find it now, and this is it, by the way. You can clearly identify tank. It's M1A1 Abrams, and definitely, as I said, definitely not the last one. I guess mood in Washington not gonna be very good because of this news, but yet again what they expected for Russian units, it don't really makes any difference. It's Abrams tank needs to be destroyed, Challenger 2 or T-62, for example, of Soviet era that was built in Kharkov tank manufacturing plant during the Soviet times, and Kiev regime had some capability to basically cannibalize on this Soviet era technology, Soviet era T-64 tanks, and they were producing their own interpretations of this tank, their own modifications in the Kharkov tank factory, but no longer are able to do so, I believe. They may have some repair potential still, but I don't think they are able to build new tanks right now. So that's breaking news. One more Abrams tank is sent to, or will be sent most likely to, some museum in Russia as a trophy and the exponent of about story of special military operation. And okay, let's continue with some other news now. And when it comes to overall situation on the battle of contact, there was no crucial changes. Very same hotspots are most active as usual. In Zaporozhye sector, it's Orekhov-Bridged and Rabotino settlement, which is disputed right now between the sides. Russian forces control southern part of this village, Ukrainian forces northern part, and central area of Rabotino is in gray zone. When it comes to South Donetsk sector, of course, Novomikhailivka is the main hotspot, and right now, since yesterday afternoon, basically, video is circulating on internet when Russian forces are establishing flank in central parts of this settlement, Novomikhailivka, and I believe it will not take too long before Russian side will establish control over this village. Also, Krasnogorovka, of course, is a hotspot on Donetsk sector of the front line, and despite the fact that Kyiv regime deployed its strategic reserves in the direction of Krasnogorovka and most or last of its battle-capable brigades, they were unable to push Russian forces out of Krasnogorovka, and in southern side, on the southern part of this, on the southern side of this railway, Russian side is maintaining its foothold, and well, it's hard to tell how long it will take to establish control over the Krasnogorovka, because this is probably one of the last strongholds of Kyiv regime in Donetsk sector, on the southern part of Donetsk sector. But eventually, of course, Krasnogorovka will be liberated by Russian forces. When it comes to Avdiivka direction, Orlovka and Toninka, two settlements that previously was reported to be under full Russian control, are disputed now exactly because of this additional redeployment of strategic reserves of Ukrainian forces. They managed to stabilize line of contact and even establish some footholds in these two settlements. And well, same goes for Berdichi. Of course, where this Abrams tank, second Abrams tank, was destroyed, and first one was destroyed also in Berdichi, by the way, in Berdichi area. When it comes to northern sectors, there was no reports about any crucial changes in Krasny Liman or Kupiansk direction. Main hotspots there are, of course, Terny and Sinkovka in Kupiansk direction, and Belagorovka in Seversk direction, Tarskoe, Yampolovka also on the Zhiribets river. But yet again, at least for now, I didn't see any reports of additional territorial gains on part of any of the sides. And Chisovyar, by the way, Chisovyar is of course northern part of Donetsk sector of the front line, and according to latest reports, Russian forces further improved their positions in Krasnaya, in settlement of Krasnaya, which is Ivanovskaya, that's a Ukrainian name for it. It's located exactly opposite of Bakhmut on the western side, and simultaneously Russian armed forces advancing from the northern side towards Chisovyar itself, and Russian airborne units right now are conducting offensive operations towards this forestry, west of Popova forestry. And once this area will be under full Russian control, I guess we can say that battle for Chisovyar has begun. And first, most likely, will be this canal district of Chisovyar. I call it canal district because it's located eastern side from the canal, water canal. And of course, Belagorovka. Russian forces are active in Belagorovka once again and conducting offensive operations to closing into this canal district. But yet again, we should not expect some crucial changes in this direction in short period of time, because of course Ukrainian side has quite significant defense lines in Chisovyar direction, and this battle will be a long one, relatively long. And this is it when it comes to short summary of the situation on the battlefield. After all, by the way, one should always keep in mind that currently Russian armed forces using this active defense strategy, which is not about gaining control over the additional territories, but about demilitarizing Kyiv regime and units that are loyal to Kyiv regime. And current line of contact have been used quite effectively by Russian forces to do exactly that, to demilitarize Ukrainian armed forces. And I believe there is no rush on Russian part to further escalate and conduct some large-scale offensive operations right now. There is no need in that, especially now, because we all remember what Macron was saying a few days ago. And rumors are now about deployment of NATO troops into Ukraine, and rumors are now circulating in the internet that most likely decision will be made by some NATO member states to deploy their forces in the western part of Ukraine and also on the border with Belarus, to allow Kyiv regime to release some 100,000 grouping of forces that Zelensky and his criminal associates have deployed into the northern borders. And if that's the case, if this 100,000 really will be released in next couple of weeks from northern borders and will be deployed towards line of contact, of course, it will make all the sense for Russian armed forces to further improve defense lines right now on the positions that they are holding, maybe with minor changes, because several settlements most likely will become under full Russian control in upcoming days, like Novomikhailivka in South Donetsk sector, Toninka, Berdichi, and Orlovka also, some other settlements. But point is that it does make sense to dig it in now, establish some additional defense lines, and when and if this 100,000 grouping of forces will be released from Belarus border and will be deployed to the front line, Russian armed forces will have better defense lines, and they will manage to demilitarize these additional forces of Kyiv regime in the same way that another dozens and dozens of Ukrainian brigades were demilitarized, mainly exactly on the current line of contact, with some minor changes, of course, because there are situations when offensive is needed, like it happened in Avdiivka direction, for example. But overall, in general, Russian side is maintaining current line of contact for quite a while now, for a reason, of course. And this is it for a short summary. I will continue with some additional news, and because I want to make this update as short as possible, and it's already 13 minutes, I will share with you as many news as possible in next 15-20 minutes, and then I will cut update, and rest of the news will be in my second update on my Patreon page. So RIA Novosti's report, this is breaking news for this moment, that explosion occurred in Samara region, and support construction of the bridge was destroyed. Railway bridge, by the way, was destroyed, damaged as a result of this explosion. No reports about casualties, but can you imagine what will happen, how devastating it would be if passenger train was on this bridge at the moment of explosion, and if bridge would collapse. So this information once again highlights real face of Zelensky and his criminal associates. They are terrorists, by the way, and I wonder how long it will take for Moscow before Russian government will finally, and Russian state institutions will finally designate Ukraine's armed forces, Ukraine's secret services, and leadership of modern Ukraine as a terrorist organizations and the terrorists, because that's what they are. And there is overwhelming evidences that support this designation, that they are terrorists. And this information is one of them, one of the many. Let's continue. And well, as I said, many media outlets in Russia, of course, are paying attention to destruction of second Abrams on the battlefield. And I guess Western media outlets will also at least share some information that Russian armed forces are taking out Abrams tanks now on the battlefield. RIA Novosti's report that, well, Armata tank, T-14 Armata main battle tank is in Russian service. Now it has been deployed to Russian military units. And this was stated by Sergei Chemizov. He is head of Rostech, Russian giant in terms of military industrial complex, and well, very same individual, Chemizov, stated that it is unlikely that Armata tanks will be deployed to the battlefield because they are very expensive. And there is no need for such deployments. Other tanks are well capable to deal with the older tasks that they will have. Of course, first of all, T-90M tank, and it's true, by the way, it's true. T-90M is a very capable tank, probably one of the best in this world right now. And well, Armata tank definitely has much more capabilities. It's much more secure for crew members, much more secure because it has active protection, passive protection. It has plenty of features that makes it a unique tank. But yet again, what is the point to produce tank that you are not willing to use in the battlefield because it's too expensive? I don't know really. And well, that's why I have some doubts that production of Armata tanks will be in a massive scale, because it not really makes much sense. It will be better if probably if T-90s will be produced in mass, T-90Ms. And well, Armata tanks, I don't know, man. These tanks can be demonstrated on parades or something like that, but I don't think we will see them in the battle. Although there was reports, by the way, that at some point Armata tanks were sent to the battlefield to undergo some trials in battle conditions. And after this conflict will end, maybe some information about it will be declassified, and we will learn some information about effectiveness of Armata. It is possible, who knows. And Armata also can be platform, by the way, for experiments to develop future battle vehicle, heavily armed battle vehicle that will be much more effective than tanks are right now, because drone warfare makes tanks obsolete, by the way, in my personal opinion. Some military experts may disagree with me, but well, just take a look at this information, by the way. Abrams tank, which costs I don't know how many millions, even if it's the old generation, it still costs millions. And well, this Abrams tank was immobilized by ITGM first. Abrams lost track, according to some reports that I see, and then cheap FPV drones finished it off. FPV drones that cost, I don't know, $200-300, maybe even less than that, and they are capable to destroy multi-million tank that costs millions and millions. So therefore, most likely some new equipment will be created in the future, heavily armed equipment that might be some kind of mix of tank and armored personnel carrier. Israel has this kind of experiment. Israel does this kind of experiments with Merkava tanks that are capable to carry troops inside it. And maybe that's the direction. Maybe that's the direction. Although we see many videos from areas of battles between IDF and Hamas when Merkavas were destroyed. So who knows what future has for tanks. They really seem obsolete at this point. But anyway, let's continue. RT's report that Ukrainian opposition complains to EU about repressions. Wow, what a revelation. That there is some repressions in the Ukraine and autocracy or even dictatorship, and the basic rights of human beings are not protected. What a revelation, man. Unbelievable. And by the way, probably many of you will agree with me that because of the Western propaganda, most likely significant part of Western societies, if not majority, probably strongly believes that Ukraine is democracy. When in Ukraine you don't have a free media, none of it, by the way. And if people are posting something on internet, they are arrested for this. And we all know what happened to this tragic story of Gonzalo Lira. He was arrested for no reason, put in prison, tortured, and killed by Kyiv regime. And but still, because of the Western propaganda, most people in the West probably never heard about Gonzalo Lira, and they strongly believe that Ukraine is a democracy, you know. Unbelievable. So former Ukrainian President Pyotr Poroshenko's party has appealed to EU leadership, calling for the restoration of freedom of speech and political plurality in the country, while condemning Kyiv's authoritarianism. Okay. I don't think this is the time when Brussels will react on this, but when final decision will be made in London and Washington to remove Zelensky, then of course Brussels will remember this appeal from Poroshenko's party. Also, by the way, RIA Novosti's report that Margarita Simonyan, editor-in-chief of RT, many of you, I believe, know about her. So she made a statement that it is possible that she might share with public some additional information, like she did a few days ago about conversation of high-ranking German officers when they were discussing deliveries of Taurus long-range missiles to Kyiv regime, and also terrorist attack on Crimean Bridge and many other topics. She did not say that she has any additional materials in her hands, interceptions or whatever, but same time she left some she let us know that there may be some information in hands of some people that might share it with her first, and then she will share it with us. Well, I guess it is highly likely that Margarita Simonyan will share with us some additional information in fairly short time, and of course that additional information will cause no less a storm in the West than previous revelations about this leaked Crimea bridge attack recording, when these high-ranking German officers were talking about discussing terrorist activities against Russia. And by the way, in Germany, defense minister of Germany stated that even though high-ranking officers of Bundeswehr, in this case Luftwaffe, German Air Force, were discussing some topics, including deliveries of Taurus missiles and attack on Crimea Bridge, that not necessarily means that Berlin had made any decision yet. So, easy if, by the way, Berlin, this is the information, by the way, easy if Berlin has any real rights to make any decisions. It German government, of course, fully depends on Washington, and they will do whatever they are told to do by Washington. And many media outlets, by the way, probably you already see articles in the Western media. Many media outlets are publishing now articles with revelations that rift between German government and government of France and UK is further increasing because of these publications in the Russian media and interceptions of talks between German officers. And by the way, German government, including Pistorius, defense minister, I believe admitted that at least some parts of those conversations were classified information, if not entirely. I guess entire that conversation was classified, but maybe German government means episode of that discussion when these German officers were talking about ways of deliveries of British Storm Shadow missiles, cruise missiles, and French Scalp missiles to Ukraine. These officers discussed this in detail with which vehicles those missiles are delivered, where and how those missiles and by whom are operated. So London and Paris might have quite a reason to be mad on German government for disclosing some unknowingly, of course, disclosing some classified information. But yet again, what are they gonna do? I mean, yesterday during the live stream, one member of our community asked me if NATO will be dissolved, if there is any perspective that NATO will be dissolved, and my answer was not. If anything, NATO will become much stronger, I guess, much more consolidated under a strong grip of Washington. No matter who is the president, by the way, in US, Biden, Trump, or someone else. NATO is Western ruling elites have of course geopolitical clash with Russia right now, but the main target for them is China, because they see China as a main threat for their dominance. And I believe Western ruling classes provoked this conflict with Russia in Ukraine in 2022. Western ruling elites began escalating in Ukraine in 2014 and demonizing Russia in 2008 by provoking military conflict between Georgia and Russia, with the main goal to demonize Russia, then use this situation to further increase military spendings in the NATO member states, make NATO army stronger, more capable, to use it not necessarily against Russia, but against China, when there will be clashes between West and China. And for very same reason was this AUKUS organization, military alliance, was created by United Kingdom, United States and Australia, which may become a bigger organization in upcoming years, and quite a few states may join it. Who knows? But anyway, let's continue. How long is this update? 28 minutes. I will share with you at least a few headlines. So RT's report that, well, according to former president of Russian Federation and current deputy chairman of Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, Germany is preparing for a war with Russia. Recently leaked recordings of senior German officers discussing potential attacks on the Crimean Bridge leaves no doubt that Berlin is preparing for military conflict with Russia, Medvedev stated, and well, he is correct. It's not just Germany is preparing for a war, but all NATO member states, and we on daily basis are hearing statements from high-ranking officials among NATO member states about war between Russia and West, between Russia and NATO. But my belief is that even though they are preparing for a war, their main Western ruling class is as a main threat not Russia but China, and therefore all these preparations of NATO build up and militarization of the NATO member states or EU member states is due to somewhat inevitable at this point confrontation between West and the global East, global South, China in particular. So RIA Novosti's report that Colonel McGregor made quite interesting statements during their interview with Stephen Gardner. on his YouTube channel, I believe, and well, Douglas McGregor stated that if there will be direct confrontation between Russia and NATO, US would not be able to easily deploy its forces into European theater of operations, because Russian fleet, especially Russian submarine fleet, will sink all the transports, or majority of the transports, that will try to deploy troops and military equipment to the European continent. Then McGregor definitely has a point, because Russian submarines, latest generation submarines, for a reason are called, some of them, as a black hole, because they are almost undetectable. They nickname, by the way, they are designated by NATO as black holes. And it's not just that, by the way. It's not just Russian fleet, including submarine nuclear fleet or diesel electric submarine fleet. Diesel electric submarines also are extremely capable, of course. At least in the coastal areas, they cannot cross the oceans necessarily, but in the coastal areas they are very effective. But point is that if direct conflict will be provoked between Russia and NATO, that conflict will end with nuclear exchange, and therefore it not really matters. Will US be able to deploy its troops into Europe or not? The entire world will be destroyed and devastated by nuclear exchange. So that's the main point. It's not about manpower, it's not about military equipment in the conflict between Russia and NATO. It's about end of everything, because that's what will happen in that case. But yet again, by the way, I'm not as skeptical as many. I don't really see any real risks of a full-scale conflict between Russia and NATO. I just don't see it coming. Some local-scale skirmishes between Russian forces and NATO forces in Ukraine during the full-scale disintegration of Ukraine. Possible, undoubtedly it might happen, but yet again, local-scale skirmishes that would not provoke full-scale war between the sides. Because yet again, Russia is not seen by NATO ruling elites of the NATO as a main threat. They may talk about it too much on the media to scare public as much as possible that Russia is coming and war is coming and blah blah blah. But in reality, Western ruling class sees China as a threat, and in no circumstances they will provoke full-scale war between Russia and NATO, because they know they will end. They would not survive war with Russia. They know it. So it is what it is. But anyway, TASS news agencies report that on the commercial vessel, British commercial vessel Ruby Mar, that was sunk in the Red Sea as a result of strike from Ansar Allah, a movement of Yemen, some 21,000 tons of fertilizers end up on the bottom of the sea. And by the way, everybody in, I don't know, man, 15, 20 kilometers away from this ship was very lucky that these fertilizers didn't detonate. Otherwise, it might even cause like small tsunami. That's how powerful explosion probably would be. And now question is how devastating for local ecology these fertilizers will be. Because of course they're gonna leak to the oceans. But yet again, this would not happen. This would not happen if US and UK would not start targeting Yemen. But you know, and many people recommend, many experts said that it's mistake to start targeting Yemen, but Washington and London did not listen to nobody, of course. RT report that Pakistan elects new prime minister. Pakistan's new formed government has elected Shehbaz Sharif as a prime minister following general election last month. By the way, Pakistan may have a new prime minister, but in general, policies of Pakistan would not change. The US will maintain its significant grab on Pakistan. Well, how long is this update, man? 35 minutes. Well, dear friends, I have to end this update now with this news that Turkish businessmen are now considering to sue high-ranking officials in US for threats of secondary sanctions because these Turkish companies, Turkish businessmen are dealing with the Russian companies, and I believe Turkey is not the one that's suffering because of these illegal actions of the Washington, Brussels, London's. Many other countries also are undergoing this pressure of possible secondary sanctions, India, China, you name it. And well, that's why it is highly necessary for BRICS to come up with alternative financial and banking system, and eventually with BRICS currency. That will be alternative world reserve currency, alternative to the dollar, euro, and pound, British pound. I don't think Turkish businessmen will achieve much by suing high-ranking officials of US, but good luck to them. You know, they can try. And also two news. I will share this news also. Former Foreign Minister of Austria, Karin Kneis, moved to Russia to live here, and she has plans, by the way, to build her home here and build a new life as a Russian citizen, which is great news, by the way. I wanted to share this information with you because this definitely highlights this wave of migration of the citizens of Western states towards Russia. And me personally, I hope this wave will increase and more people from the Western states, people that have traditional values, will emigrate to Russia, because these people are hardworking people, law-obeying people, and they will definitely, because if more people will emigrate, more this type of people will emigrate to Russia, more Russian society will benefit from it, and the country will benefit from it, because these are hardworking professionals that can bring their knowledge, expertise to Russia, which will be handy, of course. So good news, by the way, good news. And I believe Moscow needs to deal with some bureaucracy, make it easier to emigrate to Russia, because I mean, bureaucracy is never in no country is something that people love to deal with, and especially when it comes to migration. By the way, it's a nightmare everywhere, man. Name a country where this immigration bureaucracy is something easy. It's never the case, but I believe it will be right move from Russian side to make it easier for hard-working people that have traditional values to emigrate in Russia. It will definitely benefit country. This is my personal opinion. And also, by the way, I will end this update, if I may, with this interesting news that in some areas of Moscow region there was northern lights during the past night, and well, RT reported about it, and quite nice pictures here. One may not believe that this is Moscow region, by the way, but it is. Just look at how beautiful it is, man. It's a beautiful, but same time, because northern lights appear this far from the Arctic regions, that definitely means that probably there was some huge explosion on the sun, and Earth go through some wave of charged particles from the sun. Because this game of lights in the sky, usually this happens when charged particles are hitting atoms in the atmosphere. So yes, this is it for now. Hopefully you will find this update interesting. Not as short as I would like, but still hopefully you will find this update interesting, useful, and if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary just about anything, any topic. More likes and comments probably will help me to deal with the algorithm of both platforms, by the way, on YouTube and Rumble, and will allow me to reach wider audience. And for very same reason, if you can, please share links to my videos or my channels with your friends on any of the platforms that you are actively using. And finally, if you think this channel is interesting, informative, maybe somewhat entertaining even, and one that deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.